Joe Louis isn't the only great champion honored recently. Marvelous Marvin Hagler, who dominated the middleweight division through much of the 1980s, several weeks ago was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Tonight, we begin a two-part look at this man who thrived outside of the boxing establishment and became a champion. Here's Al Albert.
Yes.
I'm going to go in there and rip his whole face off if I have to.
Two great champions fighting for one championship.
And new middleweight champion of the world, Sugar Ray Leonard.
For his fans, it was the last time they saw Marvin Hagler in the ring.
He whispered in my ear, and after, you beat me, babe, you know, and he knew I had him. You know, he was just lucky that he still was standing.
For Marvin Hagler, life has always been a crusade to remain standing. He grew up in the New Jersey ghetto, raised by his mother, May. As a young boy, Marvin spent his time in the street, emulating his heroes like Willie Mays. In those streets, he tried on his first pair of boxing gloves in a ring made of tin cans.
With those gloves, I used to take them out in the street and box all the kids on the block, you know. I'd fight the big ones, all of them, you know, bloody their nose too in the street. On the street corner, we used to see posters of Jersey Joe Walcott, Floyd Patterson, these type of people, so we used to imitate these people.
In 1967, Newark exploded. Horrific rioting nearly burned the city to the ground. The National Guard was summoned, and for 3 days, the Haglers crawled on the floor of their house to avoid stray gunfire. When the scene repeated itself in '69, May Hagler moved the family to Brockton, Massachusetts. There, 16-year-old Marvin walked into the gym of Goody and Pat Petronelli. They called themselves the Triangle. These three would prove that loyalty can create the greatest strength.
When he came, he was a loner, very private person. He didn't trust many people, and he didn't have much to say.
To me, they're like a father, you know, and a brother, and a real good friend. It was very hard for me to adjust to them in the beginning because I didn't trust anyone.
He was comfortable with the black people around him, but not the whites. But it took a little time, and over a period of time, he ended up with a with a Jewish attorney, Italian managers, a Lebanese accountant. It was like the League of Nations.
While Marvin polished his social skills, there was nothing diplomatic about his manners in the ring. He was a quick learner, a relentless worker, and long on confidence.
Marvin all along said, someday I'm going to be the world's champions, Goody. I said, yeah, yeah, and I put my arm around him, and he said, and I'll be your coach. And I said to myself, well, this kid don't know what he's talking about, boy, the world's champion, you know, that's quite a thing. But he always thought that, he thought big.
Destruct and destroy, it became the Hagler credo. And opponents up and down the East Coast learned that inside the ropes, those words translated to stinging punishment from the Brockton southpaw who was making a name for himself.
He'd put up a photograph in his room sometime and look at it, and he'd build up this hate for his opponent. And it showed when he got in the ring.
I hate all my fighters, everyone that I fought. I have no love for them. And my trainers speak as either your ass or theirs. Whose ass you want down there, yours or theirs? I want theirs. Okay, then, we'll get busy.
But the well of opponents soon dried up. The Petronellis were outsiders in the political rudder that steers boxing. Hagler had gotten too good. No one wanted to fight him.
I think Joe Frazier said it perfect. He said, you got 3 strikes against you. Number 1, you're black. Number 2, you're a southpaw. And number 3, you can fight. I mean, who needs that combination? I mean, you know, if I had an opponent, I don't want to fight this guy.
Fearful that a world title would forever escape them, Hagler and the Petronellis turned to Boston's power brokers. Senator Kennedy and Tip O'Neill promised to help. Then, in September of 1980, Marvin Hagler went to London to destroy Alan Minter and win the middleweight title. On both counts, he was a rousing success.
It's only the 3rd round, and Hagler is all over him. The fight stopped. It's over that quickly. The middleweight champion of the world is Marvin Hagler.
The happiest point in my life is that when I won the title from Alan Minter, it was the happiest day of my life.
There had been numerous club fights and the road had not been paved, but Marvin Hagler had his title. It would be 7 years before he'd give it up. Next week in part 2, more from Leonard and Hagler on their historic bout.
I take nothing away from him, but I just still speak that in my heart I know I won. And
you know, styles make fights. If I fought Marvin Hagler 20 times, I'll beat him 20 times because of styles.
Plus Marvin on life in Italy and his induction in the Boxing Hall of Fame.
Tonight's edition of In This Corner is brought to you by Advil in tablets or caplets. Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
On a night of ex-champions back in the fray, it is time for part 2 of our close-up look at a former boxing great who never looked back. Marvelous Marvin Hagler, the former middleweight champion of the world. Last week in part 1, we documented Hagler's ascent through the boxing ranks until the night he won the title from Alan Minter in London. It was a journey that took him from the streets of Newark to the city of Brockton, Mass, where he landed at the gym of Pat and Goody Petronelli. Now a look at life as the champion and life after boxing. The story picks up with a historic Hagler-Hearns battle in Las Vegas.
This may be the most brutal, even round you've ever seen in boxing. Hearns against the ropes. He's on rubber legs. It's over. This one is history. Marvin Hagler, a tremendous victory.
I think after the fight, he finally gave me my respect that I deserved, and he knew who was the real champion.
2 years after his bloody brawl with Thomas Hearns, the curtain went up on another showdown for Marvin Hagler. This one against an old nemesis, one that had sobering results. Sugar Ray Leonard came out of retirement and took the champion the distance. It was a split decision, a decision that 6 years later leaves the combatants still sparring.
If Marvin Hagler reviewed those tapes one time, just review the tape one time, he'll walk away and say, well, I lost the fight.
I take nothing away from him, but I just still speak that in my heart I know I won. And
you know, styles make fights. If I fought Marvin Hagler 20 times, I'll beat him 20 times because of styles.
this guy is exhausted and he's collapsed in the ring there, and he's saying he's champion.
The loss hurt worse than any blow from Leonard. Hagler would suffer through a divorce, rumors of heavy drinking. He disappeared from public eye.
He said, no, I'm done, I'm done, I'm done. I don't want nothing to do with boxing. I want to forget it. It's been good to me, but now he says, I want to retire an undefeated champion.
But boxing was the core of Marvin Hagler's existence. Eventually, he would yearn for a Leonard rematch. After months of speculation, negotiations broke down. Citing a lack of challenges, Marvin Hagler retired.
It was, to me, one of the saddest days of my life. That was really a heartbreaking decision. Tears came in my eyes when I had to say goodbye to my love, you know, which is boxing.
In boxing, though, the first goodbye is rarely the last. Ex-champions like Roberto Duran and George Foreman have been reincarnated with comebacks. Marvin Hagler remains a boxing oddity, a champion who retired and stayed retired.
Much smarter. No, I believe that by me retiring and by me trying to get out of the game at a young age, being able to pursue a different career, and being able to set an example for the other fighters, to let them know that, you know, that there is another life after boxing.
For Marvin, the transition to life out of the ring has been done on foreign soil, far removed from the streets he was raised on. To visit Marvin Hagler, one must cross the Atlantic and head to Italy. Yes, we said Italy. Hagler is learning a new language and making new friends and enjoying the worldwide celebrity status he carved out for himself in the ring. Hagler also has a new passion, and soon it may be coming to a theater near you.
Where's your hair? You are looking to catch butterflies?
Not butterflies, photographs. You open the bag, you see my camera.
You open the bag.
While Hagler hones his boxing skills, his achievements in the ring have not been forgotten. Several weeks ago, he celebrated induction into boxing's Hall of Fame.
Marvin was the most versatile fighter in the world.
There'll never be another one. You hear somebody in the gym saying, oh, we're looking. No, you don't look for another one. This is once in a lifetime, and I'm privileged to have that opportunity to work with a fellow like this.
You must love this game in order to be involved in this game, because this game is not easy, and this game is not for everyone.
He was a scientific boxer, and he could bang. He could send them in. He hit to the body, and he hit to the head.
It's so funny now that when I see other kids trying to imitate Marvelous Marvin Hagler, I hear this, what? I'll be Marvelous Marvin Hagler, you be Muhammad Ali. I'm listening to these two kids, never believed this happened. It was great.
Marvin Hagler won 62 fights. In his prime, he terrorized an entire weight class. He fought with a hunger born of days growing up in the ghetto with nothing. A throwback, once claiming that if you cut his bald head open, one would find a giant boxing glove. Though the Ray Leonard demons may never totally vanish, Marvin Hagler's place in history is secure. 6 years after he left the ring, the gym where he learned his craft still displays the memorabilia of glory days past. There's even a locker full of Marvin's workout clothes, just in case the marvelous one comes back to visit and wants to go a few rounds.